Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again with you on the 1st of November, 2022. I'm here with psychic medium and remote viewer Liz Cross. How are we doing today, Liz?
Very well, thank you. And so is Churchill.
Good, because that's who we're going to channel. Okay. How's he doing today?
He's doing very well. He's glad to be on that side and not this side. He's like the world's gone to hell in a handbasket.
All right. And it's things like that I'm going to ask him about. Okay. What does he think of the current situation with British politics?
He thinks that from here on out, it is going to be, in his words, a never-ending disaster. They've got themselves on this tangent now where they just boot people out. They don't give anyone a chance anymore. It's just diabolical. Nobody can make a mistake anymore, also.
Right. Does he think that the current prime minister will last, more than a year?
Do you think No, they'll try and get rid of him too.
Okay. Does he think that the Conservative Party, a party which he was a member of, has completely lost its values, or does he think it still holds to conservative values? Or, I mean, what does he think of the Conservative Party now?
What do you think about it? They have no, there's no remnants of the old Conservative Party, is what he's saying. Like, everybody's values have changed. He believes that they're basically just conforming to whatever anybody wants anymore. Nobody's got a backbone. Nobody's willing to stand up for what they believe in.
What does he think of the European Union, the EU?
Disgrace.
If he was still prime minister, would he have ever joined the European Union?
At the time, yes, he probably would, because the goals were very different to what the European Union looks like now. They haven't stopped anything. They haven't stopped a war. It's just a joke to him.
Okay.
They haven't done what they set out to do.
What does he think of the current American president?
He says if he was in power now, he could definitely not deal with someone like that.
Right.
How can you form an alliance? He also says that the current, now this is his own personal thought, feeling, and opinion. This is not Liz talking. This is Winston Churchill. So please don't send me emails. Don't do it, right? Don't do it. No, I know you want to, but don't. Because they do. Liz, blah, blah, blah. And they get on their soapbox about politics, and I'm like, guys, I'm so not interested. He couldn't form an alliance with him. How are they supposed to be allies when he has no backbone? He also believes that Biden does not have a backbone.
Right.
It wouldn't work. It's a non-working relationship.
What does he think about the current prime minister of Canada, Trudeau?
The same. He says the only people that have backbones anymore are in the Middle East.
Okay.
He doesn't even think Putin has a backbone.
Doesn't?
No.
Okay. What about the Ukrainian president, Zelensky?
No, none of them.
Right.
You have to remember, Churchill was as tough as old boots. He really was.
Okay. What does he think about the current economic situation facing the UK?
What do you think about the current economic situation facing the UK? It's not going to be fixed. He doesn't believe it's ever going to be fixed. It may take 20 years to fix this. That nobody has nobody can make a decision, is what he's telling me. That they've lost the ability to make firm, hard, and fast decisions. It's the media is dictating what people do. He says, I never cared about the media. I never paid any attention to it. I didn't care about daily briefings. He did what he had to do. All of that other stuff is absolute rubbish. At this point, somebody has got to take charge. But he says nobody's going to do that. It's just going to spiral and spiral and spiral.
So does he think that the current crop of leaders, you know, with the exception of perhaps a few in the Middle East, I mean, that they have no back. Do you think this is all by design?
Yes, because we've become too soft.
What does he think of the World Economic Forum?
Dangerous.
How does he think the new King Charles, will do?
He likes King Charles. Not as strong as his mother, but, you know, he says they're not leaders, are they? They don't have to be strong. They just have to show resilience. And that is what the monarchy is here to do. It's to show resilience and the fact that they will always withstand no matter what.
Right.
They will always withstand whatever comes their way.
Okay. Does he believe that the future is more in the Middle East, sorry, the Far East, China, and do you think the Far East now is going to lead? Does he think that?
Yes, they're already leading.
Back in the Second World War, in the beginning of the Second World War, there was a chance that, you know, Germany wanted, because Germany didn't want to be at war particularly with England, but there was a chance for peace, but he refused it. Why did he do that?
Ooh, that's a good question. There was a chance for peace during the Second World War. And he said why? Because he didn't trust them. He knew that it would amount to war anyway. If there was a chance for peace, like if they would have taken the peace, or if they would have struck a deal or whatever it was, he says we would have given over our sovereignty to Germany, and he wasn't about to do that. He wanted to remain firm and proud and show that the British people could always stand together. Listen, they're doing that now. You know it and I know it. It's not on the same resilience level of World War II. Like I've said, and you guys have been listening to me, you know, thank God my dad comes back this week. But people that are in my family that can afford to run the heat, right? They've got loads of money. It's not even about that. It's standing firm. Now, you're talking about a generation of people that were born during World War II. They're not putting their heating on over there because that is their effort towards the war, right? Something that the Europeans have, or maybe it's just the British, that we really don't have over here in the US, or certainly I've never seen it, which is a war effort. And that is actually going on. Maybe not so much with the younger generations over there, and you'll be able to enlighten us, but I certainly see it with the older generations. They're still making a concerted war effort, and they won't run their heating. They won't, you know, they are minimizing their electricity. They've lived like this before. Don't forget, even after World War II, you know, I remember tales of my grandparents and also my parents telling me about food rationing. You know, everything wasn't instantaneous after the war ended. There were rations for many years. They've been through this before, and they're prepared to go through it again. We over here, on the other hand, we're I think we're too big and too spread out.
Okay.
Okay, no opinion. I mean, you see it, don't you? Surely to God, you see it, because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. No, we're not running the heat. No, we're not giving them another dime, right? Or another pound. I'm seeing it.
I don't think it's as quite as extreme. I mean, it might be there's definitely people who are suffering already.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think it's quite as extreme as perhaps you're portraying.
Well, but it is because maybe not so much for the younger generations. Don't forget, I'm talking to the 80-year-olds over there, right? I'm talking to the people in their late 70s and early 80s. They're fully prepared to, make that effort, to make that sacrifice. Maybe not so much the younger generations, but this is what he's talking about. That is why he did not strike up that deal. He just knew that the British people were far more resilient, and it was going to spell disaster. He did not trust Germany whatsoever.
What did he think of Stalin?
He actually admired him.
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't that crazy?
Not really, but Stalin, basically. I mean, it was the Russian. Yeah. Okay. Okay. What about Roosevelt? What did you think of him?
Not so much. He felt like Roosevelt was very bendable, but on board. So,
Okay. What about President Charles de Gaulle? Charles de Gaulle.
Too flexible.
Right.
Easily persuaded, easily swayed.
What did you think of Adolf Hitler?
Crazy, deranged.
Okay. What was his thoughts? What are his thoughts about globalism versus nationalism? In other words, the one global world as opposed to the individual sovereign states that he knew about when he grew up.
What do you think about globalism versus nationalism? He's like, if you want to give your power over to a bunch of people that have no interest in the country, then go ahead. That's what he said.
It's just something he would say. Yeah.
He's like, if you're prepared to do that, but you will suffer the consequences, and you will not be able to reverse that agenda.
No.
Britain only just got out of the EU by the skin of their teeth, right? Is what he's saying to me. You won't be able to reverse that if you enter into that, one world government.
Does he think that Britain will go back into the EU?
No.
Good. Okay. The pound versus the dollar has changed a lot since he was around. The dollar has strengthened, the pound has weakened. What is it? How does he see these two economies going forward, America and England, UK?
The pound will continue to stay weak.
Right.
The dollar will become stronger than the pound. It will continue to stay weak. It will never go back up. Now, these are his personal opinions, thoughts, feelings, whatever. He doesn't see it having a resurgence back to how it used to be. I mean, I even remember in the 80s where it was a lot. I remember at one point it was $2 to the pound. Maybe that was in the 80s. Maybe that was the 90s.
Yeah.
You won't see those levels again for a very long time.
Right. Okay. How does he think Germany will fare in the future?
How do you think Germany will fare in the future? They're going downhill as well.
Does he see anybody in Europe doing well?
Yes. Strangely enough, he just said from that. He's looking at countries out in Eastern Europe,
Right.
Romania. Now, he's talking about on a performance level. And I understand. So before everybody starts jumping up and down at this point, he's talking about countries that are going to make huge strides in performance, in leadership, and, strengthening their economy. Now, as bizarre as it sounds, it looks like Romania will over the next, couple of decades.
Right. How does he see France doing and Italy, for example?
It's down the tubes. France is down the tubes. He says their recovery will be better than the UK. Italy, micro recovery, right? So on a very small level. Italy's going to be slow as well.
Right. How does he think Spain will do?
Spain has a better chance.
Okay.
Spain produces a lot. So the world needs, or certainly the neighboring countries need Spain.
Does he think Scotland should be independent from England?
No, never.
Okay. How does he think Holland is going to do in the future?
They're too conformist to the, they're too conformist to the EU. They do everything that the EU wants them to do.
Right. How does he think Canada will do in the future?
Canada's going to start a movement that will break away, and you may actually, going into the 2030s, see Canada going more conservative, Republican, right wing, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Canada, you're going to see a shift with Canada because they're going to realize that the economy is in dire straits. And then, according to his opinion, the only way to turn it around is to be more economically conservative.
How does he think Australia will do in the future?
He's like, who cares about them? And I'm like, okay, come on. They'll be fine. Australia always runs itself, so they'll be fine.
Okay. What does he think? How will India do in the future?
Growing from strength to strength. They're a powerhouse.
How does he think Japan will do in the future?
It's on a decline.
Okay. And China, how are they going to do in the future?
They'll rule the world. They're buying everything, he says. They're very smart business people. Chinese will have their hand in every single country imaginable.
Okay. How will Russia do in the future?
They're going to scale back. This war has been costly, and it may not be relevant now, but certainly in the years to come, they will have to recoup the money.
They'll have to do what to the money, sorry?
Recoup
the money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. How about Ukraine? How will they do in the future?
Economically, they will never recover from this. Not anything close to what they were.
Right. Okay.
Do you believe that the Ukrainians will migrate back to return? No, he doesn't believe that the Ukrainians will go back. Not certainly on the levels that they were. Some will return, but very few. They will make a life somewhere else.
Taking first Africa as a whole, how will the continent of Africa do?
Remarkably well.
Are there any standout countries that in Africa that he can name that will do better than others?
Again, he's pointing to Nigeria. We've had that before.
Yes, we have. Is that
South Africa ever going to be the big player? No. South Africa, no.
But Nigeria, yeah.
Nigeria. It's going to have a lot of wealth coming into Nigeria.
Why will a lot of wealth come into Nigeria?
Infrastructure.
Okay.
You're going to see a lot of massive improvements.
Is this coming from China? Are they doing it?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yes, I feel like yes, they will. That's a good question.
Okay. Good. What else was I going to ask? How will America do in the future?
It's going to see a lot of turbulent times. He's telling me like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, until the leadership gets sorted out. This is the problem. He's saying there's no real leadership in any of these countries.
Does he think Donald?
Nobody cares.
True. Yeah, I put something up about this on the Discord today, actually.
Oh, really? What, that nobody cares?
Oh, no, it's a sort of, what do we call it? Weaponized government failure. It's very interesting. Okay, what does he think does he think Donald Trump should be president again?
No.
Does he think that Joe Biden should stay president come 2024 onwards?
No.
Okay. How does he think Mexico will do in the future?
That's a good question. Economically, Mexico is going to start going downhill.
Okay. How about Brazil? How will they do in the future?
Disaster. Total disaster.
Okay. He said that he believes that some of the strongest leaders are in the Middle East. Which particular countries have got strong leaders, in his opinion, in the Middle East?
Did you say Israel? No, not so much Israel.
Saudi Arabia? Or?
Saudi Arabia. Yes, Saudi Arabia, yes. You've got, what about Palestinian? No, not strong in Palestinian. What about Qatar? No, more like Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Afghanistan. No, Syria. Syria, yes. I don't know who's in charge of Syria now, but I feel like there's going to be some more action coming out of Syria in the future, they'll become very powerful again.
Right. Okay. How does he think that places like sort of Thailand, Vietnam, those sort of, Philippines, how will they do? Those sort of places.
Places will do Philippines. They're going to grow, but they will never outshine China. China will not allow that.
No.
They're always going to be like, boxed in by China.
Right. And what about closer to home, Ireland? How does he think Ireland will do in the future?
How do you think? They will stay strong. Ireland has a lot of use actually. I believe with the farming. He's saying they will always keep their head above water.
Right. So the United Kingdom left the European Union. Does he see any other countries leaving the European Union anytime soon?
Oh, that's a good question. European Union, do you see any other countries leaving the European Union? Yes. Eventually, yes, to Italy. Italy will eventually break away.
Any others?
Possibly France.
Okay. How does he see Hungary doing in the future?
No, they're joined to the EU. They're going to stay. Like that is really. It's like that's really predictable. Hungary will stay with the EU.
Right.
By proxy. By proxy. I don't know what that means. He said by proxy.
Interesting. Okay. Is there anybody on the current British political scene that he would, who would think, who's of what we would call the old leadership class, if you like? Somebody like himself. Is there anybody? It doesn't matter what party, but is there anybody on the current political scene?
No, not even close. Of course he's going to say that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah. All right. I think that'll do. That's a good wrap up from.
Yeah. I mean, he's very interesting. And of course, there'll be some Churchill buffs out there. If you do have questions, feel free to drop them on the YouTube. I'll pick them up. And of course, if you're a subscriber to the Patreon, which is located Patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond, you will be able to put your questions directly to Mr. Shakespeare on the Discord. So thank you very much. That was interesting. I didn't see that one coming at all today.